So, Richard, how the devil are you?
I'm all right. Yeah. First of all, thank you. Until today, I had no idea, and I think I had assumed I would never see Blake 7 released on Blu-ray. Thank you for letting me know that's happening.
I I
That's
didn't
superb.
I didn't know either. It was
No.
every
I
now and
thought that
again,
I thought me European DVD versions were the only versions I'd ever have.
that's what I've got. I've got the British silver kind of multi-disc sets.
Oh, I think mine's like French or something,
All
but
right. Yeah, I
obviously
did
the
see the
DVDs are in
French ones
English,
were
but
quite nice. Um,
mm,
but every so often it's like with other franchises, you kind of forget about them for a while, then you come back to them.
yeah.
And I was doing this, I wanted to do a Federation Trooper costume
Oh,
and rifle and this
I've
kind of
I've been
stuff.
following the progress. I'm very excited
It's a
about it.
bit
It's really cool.
slow, and I've had to force myself to have a non-canon jumpsuit because of how horrible the real things are.
Do
Did
you
I?
know it's funny. I saw your episode on that
Yeah.
and I had a flashback to my 30th birthday. I used to I used to DJ a club night called Danger Zone, which was like, movie
Yes, I
themed.
remember. Yeah.
And and for my 30th, my fiance at the time bought me a flight suit to
Okay.
wear at this surprise party,
Right.
which was the night I was DJing anyway, but it was turned into a surprise party unbeknownst to me.
Hmm.
Also, unbeknownst to presumably her and me, flight suits are designed for very cold temperatures because when you're up in a plane, it is cold.
Yeah.
Club nights full of people are very hot.
Can
Yeah, I was
imagine.
thinking that when I saw you putting that thing on, I was like, yeah, I've been there. Things like that are not designed for
No.
comfort,
Um,
particularly.
and I've seen a bunch of guys in the UK garrison. There's a small contingent
Mm,
of people who wear them, and I was like, I wonder if I can get one of the original '70s motorcycle oak coveralls to cover your clothes.
yeah.
But they're like 1 millimeter thick rubber, so you put them on like that. The first one I put on didn't fit me because it was too small, so I bought an
Mm.
XL and I put that on, and within literally 30 seconds of getting it on and going right now it's on.
The
You
heat began.
start, you
Yeah.
start, it's condensation on the inside. It's horrible and it's really
Mm.
noisy. It's just, and I thought, you know what? Life's too short to be having more uncomfortable costumes. Every costume I've had has been a right pain.
I, I
I
think the
thought
older we get as well,
the less
the
tolerant.
the more those things matter. When I
Yeah,
was a kid, it wouldn't have, I would have been like, fine, but now I'm like, no, no.
it's true.
Comfort.
It's true. And it's probably why I'm not a stormtrooper anymore because that whole black
Yeah.
tight undersuit is made of flannel, like t-shirt material. But once it's tight all over you,
Oh.
and kind of moving your hair around. It's like if you're like some kind of reptile who doesn't have any body hair whatsoever, it's probably fine. But when you've got a hairy, like
Mm.
Robin Williams gear going on, you just everything feels weird. And then you start sweating in it and you get too cold or you get too hot. It's just horrible. And I'm getting
Mm.
less tolerant with the sensory overload anymore. But the whole Blake Seven thing, I was on some of the Facebook pages asking about the guns and the
Mm.
the helmet and all this sort of stuff. And all of a sudden it pops up. Someone's like, "Oh, did you know season one's coming out on Blu-ray?" I'm like, "What? Stop the press!" So
Amazing.
pre-ordered it. And then after I'd pre-ordered it, someone came around and said, "Oh, I've got an Amazon recommendation here. You'll get 10% off." And I've already pre-ordered it. Too late. So 40 quid. But it's out in November, and
Mm.
I'll be doing similar Zoom calls like this, reviewing each one of the episodes
Oh,
with a
amazing.
mate of mine who's pretty well versed in models and miniatures and all that malarkey. So he
Oh,
can
that'll be really
spin
fun to
some
watch. I look forward
yarns.
to it.
Yeah, he's got a very deep knowledge of the people and the processes and all the people who made all that kind of stuff. Um, so
Oh,
I
yeah, I'm
suppose
good.
just
Yeah, I'm fine. Was the question you asked? How are you?
Yeah, yeah. So, if I yawn throughout this interview, don't
Oh,
take it as an insult. My sleep pattern, as usual, is all over the place. My days, for the last couple of years now, have been divided into two shifts. I get up in the morning,
I know a
sort
lot of
of,
people like that though. That is a common thing, right?
I think it is because I know a couple more people who do this. You get up in the morning, it's sort of 8, 9 o'clock ish, and you work through till maybe 5, 6 p.m. And then you just hit the wall and go, I'm inside now. And some people can push through, and I can't. I have a quick nap, and then I'm up at about sort of 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and I work through till 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m., whatever. So it's
Wow.
like stupid o'clock, nod off again, wake up again next morning, and it never ends. So
Well,
that's
if it works for you, though,
well, I
whatever
wish it
works.
didn't work for me, but do you
Mm,
know what? I've got this thing that they call revenge bedtime procrastination. Have you heard of that? It's like
I have not.
no, it's an actual thing. It's like if you work a 9 to 5 and you know
Yeah,
you've given most of your day to the boss and the job and stuff, and you get home and you think maybe you've got a family as well, so you've got to do stuff with the kids and whatever. But even if
sure.
you haven't, even if you're
Yeah.
like me and you're kind of a one man band as it were,
Hmm.
there's this thing of like, well, I've done my day job now. I need me time. So you're putting off you're going to bed. Everyone's, everything in your mind is going, look, go to bed at a sensible time, midnight, call it midnight, and you go,
Sure.
no, I want to surf the net a bit more. I want to just YouTube it. I want to, and you go down rabbit holes and all this kind of thing, and you're putting off bedtime. It's kind of, you're trying to get, you're procrastinating your bedtime in order to get revenge on your
I
daily.
get it. I hadn't heard the term, but that
Yeah,
makes perfect sense.
yeah, it's
Um,
horrible. I wish I
I'm
could
the
just say midnight.
opposite,
That's
but
it.
yeah, yeah. I have my evenings in the morning, so I'm kind of the wrong way around with my life. But there we are.
Yeah. I did briefly check YouTube, and the last time we spoke was in January 2024.
Was it
Um,
really?
yes, it was. Or was
Wow.
it
Yeah.
23? Hang on.
Might have been 20. Might have even been 23.
We hang on.
Um,
I'm going to check again because
okay. It's
I
definitely been a long time because a lot of things have happened. It
oh
might have been
yeah. Well,
January.
and we shall get into it. I'm just going to quickly type in my channel here and
Hmm. Let's find out.
see. I did this literally 5 minutes ago. It's gone straight out of my mind.
That's another thing that happens with age, right? I've been noticing that myself.
Right. So our first chat was 2 years ago. Our
Yeah.
second chat was a year ago. And if I click on the date, premiered January 24th, 2023.
Yeah, so it was a
So it
year
was,
and a half
yeah,
ago now.
yeah, I was in a different house and everything.
So was I. Yeah.
Really? You moved as well?
Yeah, I moved April. No, March. March.
Okay.
March of this year we moved. Yeah. And obviously I knew you moved because I follow your Terror on Tuesday, so
Yeah.
I knew you
And
moved.
I'm in a much nicer place.
Oh, that's great.
Although when I move out, none of this furniture is mine. So I'll move out with nothing. I'll be like, all right, I've got rid of all my furniture.
Yeah.
I
That
do have a
was
washing machine.
that was the problem I had moving here. When I moved into the old house, it was furnished.
Yeah.
I didn't want furnished,
No.
but it was the only choice at the time. I couldn't tell them to get rid of all of the furniture.
Yeah.
And then obviously moving here was great because it was like, okay, I'm finally rid of all of this furniture that I never wanted.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but now I have no furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things like, well, I had a bed. I don't have a bed anymore. It's a problem. So,
Well, that's kind of I had a bed in my last place, and this
yeah.
place was basically fully furnished. But in defense of my landlords, who've been great, they said, "You just point out the stuff you want us to take out, and we'll take it out." I said, "It's
Hmm.
actually more a case of me saying, keep it all apart from this and this, possibly." So they moved a handful of things, but
Right.
I said, "No, I'm happy to keep all of this." I've got
Mm,
I've got like a display cabinet, and I've got a
that's
telly that I
great.
never use. So when the license people come round and ask me why I don't have a TV license, I'm like, I don't watch it, and they were like, "Sure, you don't." I'm like, I don't. I literally don't watch telly.
You don't need a TV license to own a TV.
No, exactly. They've got to argue that, I use it to watch live TV and stuff, but it's not plugged into an aerial. And it's like, I don't
Yeah.
watch telly.
No one watches
Eh,
telly.
it's a pain.
Nobody watches live
It's
TV,
nothing
only
worth
sport, I
watching,
guess.
really.
No,
Every I
definitely
If
not.
you'd have said to me like maybe 2 years ago, what telly do you watch? I'm like, well, the only thing that's probably worth watching is Doctor Who, and even that's not worth watching anymore.
I
Anyway,
haven't watched it. I haven't watched it for a while.
you ain't
Um,
missing much, I tell you what.
this sounds really petty, and because I know a few people that have really enjoyed the new season.
Yeah, me too.
I watched, right, okay, well that's good. So I watched the um there was like a children in need thing with David Tennant
Okay.
and the Daleks and Davros. It was
Yes.
the that annoyed me so much.
Yep.
I have not watched anything since.
Well, do you
So
know what?
I
I'm in the
hear it's
kind of
quite good
same.
though. So,
I'm in the same
all
frame
right.
of mind as you. But the thing is, I haven't missed a single episode of Doctor Who. Um,
I never did,
but I
but
haven't
I just
enjoyed a
can't.
single episode of Doctor Who either.
That's the trouble, and I'm really pleased for the people that love the show.
Yeah.
If it,
Yeah.
I've just outgrown it. I don't know. I still love what I used to love. I still
Yep.
love classic Who. I still love a lot of the the reboot, I guess,
Yeah.
as we would call it, being old.
Yeah.
But it just I don't know if it's for me anymore.
We've grown apart,
You know,
and it's
yeah,
I've been the same as people saying to me, "Oh well, um, I'm allowed to like it, aren't I?" It's like, "Yep, you're
of
allowed to
course,
like whatever you like."
absolutely,
I'm not
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not going to go around
100%.
telling people you need to stop watching Doctor Who because I haven't stopped
No,
watching it. I've just
no.
watch it and go. It's like it's almost like a ritual. You think, well, it's going to be on. I better watch it, and you watch it and you go, no, that didn't do anything for me either. So it's like you're
Yeah,
hoping it will get better, but
and
like you
it's
say,
fine.
maybe you've grown out of it. Maybe I've grown out of it.
Maybe, or at least the new stuff's not for me. The old stuff is, but the new stuff is for someone, and that's fantastic. And I'm God, I can't be the arbiter of what's good and what's not. Like
No,
Tron is one of
exactly.
my favorite films of all time, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean, you probably know people who are gatekeepers and arbiters and people who insist
Mhm.
this is good and insist this is bad. And I'm like, I know people like that, but I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, you like what you like. And I'm not going to tell people you can't like stuff, you know?
It's Yeah, I think it's a young thing that I think when you're young you think you know what's good and what's bad and you're like this is terrible.
Yep.
And then you get older and you're just like, oh, who the hell am I? I just know what I like and what I don't like. So,
Do you know, I
when we
was
do
talking to
podcasts, we
someone,
talk about films. If I
yeah,
don't like a film, I say why I don't like a film. It's fine for everyone else to like it though. And
well, you hit the nail on the head right there. You said, I say why I don't like the film. You
hmm
don't say, I watch a film and I tell everyone why they shouldn't like it because you
no.
don't say that. You just go this way. I was talking to my mate about this recently, and basically, being a fuddy duddy, I brought up a Billy Joel song called Shades of Grey, and the
hmm
lyrics are um, some things were perfectly clear, seen with the vision of youth. No doubts and nothing to fear. I claim the corner on truth. These days, it's harder to say I know what I'm fighting for. My faith has fallen away. I'm not that sure anymore. So it's basically the chorus is shades of grey are all that I find when I look to the enemy lines. Black and white was how it should be, but shades of grey are the colors. So it's basically as you get older, you kind
A
of go,
hundred
I
percent.
see both sides of this now, and who am I, to draw the line
Yeah.
in the sand?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm just going to
But
quickly
yeah,
go through. Sorry, what was that?
no, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, yeah. That's never a truer word. That is exactly how I
Yeah,
feel about things
yeah.
these days.
And someone said to me today that it's just been announced in on Deadline that the Time Bandit series has been cancelled after one season.
Mm.
And I saw the trailer and I was like, this is going to be awful. So I thought
And
I'll
that's
watch the
what I
first.
thought, I
I thought
must
I'll watch
admit.
the first episode.
How was it?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. I
Oh,
mean, don't
good.
get me wrong. I wanted to see, five or six little people as the bandits, you
Yeah.
know, but modern sensibilities and Peter Dinklage, thanks, Peter, have basically said, how dare you use little people to play little people? Um,
How dare
so
they get work? Just just don't
yes,
let them
like
work.
right now, he's gonna, I'm sure Warwick Davis is gonna have a fight with him at some point. But it's like,
Yes, I saw that. I was getting quite heated at one point.
yeah. And so they put Lisa Kudrow as the leader of the Time Bandits and a bunch of other, you know,
She's great. I just
standard high
yeah,
people.
it
Do you know what?
mm.
The first episode feels very Terry Gilliam. It feels very
Oh,
British
good.
because it's a British
That's
kid
good.
playing Kevin,
Mm.
and it's not as awful as I thought it'd be, but it just wasn't enough to grab me. So when they announced it's
Yeah.
cancelled, I'm not like, yay. I'm like, there's a shame, but I probably wouldn't have watched it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so Right. I just picked up my post, so I thought I'd quickly go through my. I normally go through my post if I get anything in my
Are we going to do
videos.
an unboxing of stuff?
Well, kind of, yeah. The first thing I got was a letter from the local health authority, which says, "Dear Mr. Cooper, you have been referred to see a specialist in ophthalmology, and
What
your
is
name
that?
has been placed on the
Okay.
waiting list." Basically, the last time I got my eyes checked a couple of months ago, and they put they give you the letters to read or whatever, and you're going, right, is that better? Is that worse? Is that better? And they put the lenses in your eyes. Is that better? Or is that worse? What letters can you
Mm,
read? So I'm doing this, and then she gets to this eye, and she's like, right, how bad it? I said, well, I can read like one letter at the top, the biggest L, whatever,
hmm
every sense of the word. And so she puts on like a lens and goes, is that better or worse? I'm like, it's still out of focus. She goes, right, let's try another one. Out of focus, out of focus. Try another one. Out of focus. Right, let me adjust this thing. Right. What about now? Out of focus. Out of focus. She goes, everything's out of focus then. I'm like, yeah. She goes,
Welcome to my world.
oh, she goes, what about this eye? I said, this eye is great. You put a lens in, perfect. Right, got plenty of pairs of glasses here. They're all fine. This eye
Mm,
completely, almost completely out of focus on its own. And I
wow.
said, well, how can that not be fixed with a lens? She goes, you've got a cataract on the way. It's like,
Right.
so basically it's getting cloudy in there. There's stuff, it
Okay.
kind of amalgamates and just a cataract begins to grow. And that's what's blocking me from focusing on stuff. So it's
Right.
like someone's dangling some cotton wool inside in front of my pupil. So it's like, hang on, why is it? I was like, oh,
Oh gosh.
great. I've got early onset glaucoma, and now you're telling me I've got a cataract in this eye. Welcome to the knacker's yard. Um, so she said the reason it hasn't been, pun intended, spotted by the glaucoma clinic is because that's all they look out for is glaucoma. They're nerds. They're focused on glaucoma, but they don't
Yeah.
keep an eye, unintended, on anything
Yeah.
else. So she said, we've put you on the waiting list to a specialist for the cataract clinic, and the waiting list is about 2 years. She's like, well, we might as well
Oh
put
my
you on it
God.
now because in two
So
years'
so
time,
it's on the way now. It will be here by the time. Yeah, sure.
yeah. So it's like by the
Wow.
time you finally get to the front of the queue, you'll probably have zero vision in your eye, and then you can have the operation apparently is quick, reasonably painless, and works wonders. So that was
Mm,
fun. Second one was one of those things where you order something but you've forgotten about it, and all of a sudden it turns up, usually because it comes from far away.
sure.
So it's got
Or you've
came with a
pre-ordered it.
photo on the cover.
You
Do
know.
you recognize that guy?
I, d- it looks vaguely familiar, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Perhaps you recognize his catchphrase.
No.
No,
Now I'm
really? Okay.
confused. Yeah.
No, this is Ryan George. He's a YouTuber from Canada,
Oh.
and he does
Oh,
the
okay. No, I
the
wouldn't
movie
know then.
pitch meetings. So basically, he'll
Oh, I've
play.
seen. Yes, sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
I've seen the. Yes.
he's like one guy is like, so you have a movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. This one's all about, and he's got a million catchphrases in every video, and the most popular one is, so it's going to be hard for Batman to get out of this. Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, he's just going to do this. So I bit the bullet. I thought I'll buy a t-shirt from him, and do you know what? It's got that new t-shirt smell.
Hmm.
It'll never smell this good ever again. So
No.
if you go to a
There's
concert or something and you buy a band t-shirt and you go, oh, so clean, so lovely.
so there's two types of t-shirt, new t-shirt smell, isn't there?
Mm,
Depending on where you've got it from, I
yeah,
think. There's the version you have, a good quality t-shirt that smells nice, fresh, clean, will never smell that clean again.
yep.
And you get the other ones when you open them and you just smell chemical. It's
Yeah,
like, oh my
it's
God,
the
hit in the
print or
face with
whatever.
chemical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the second it's dry enough to put in a box, they do, and it basically still emitting toxic fumes and
I,
paint or whatever.
I think it's that red bubble thing, you know?
Yeah, and I've had many from
Yeah.
them and T
Me too.
Public.
They're great after a wash. It's just you open the bag and you're like, oof, God,
Yeah.
yeah,
But this has
you
got,
know.
I decided for the first time in my life to go for the premium t-shirt as opposed to the cheapest
Mm,
possible. Because cheap as possible, a couple of washes and it starts fading. I thought, right, I'll get a
yeah.
premium one. And this is proper thick. It's like, oh, this
Oh,
is
nice.
bulletproof. This will last forever. This feels like a
Mm.
warm hug. It's like, oh, it smells so good. And I'm just enjoying the smell at the moment. Right, so the big unboxing is this. It is about a kilo and a half, right? Um,
Of what?
I'll tell you now. Well, my mate Andy Glazebrook, who's the model expert, who's I'll be doing the Blake Seven reviews with, he said,
Yeah.
"Oh, have you got this item?" He said, "I think you might as well get it because it's a bargain at the moment." I said, "Right." So he sent me an Amazon link. He said, "Currently, it's 163 quid on Amazon." I'm like, "I ain't paying that. I got bills to pay." So
Mm.
he sent me a link to one that was 15 and or 17
Wh-
quid.
Wow.
And I watched it on eBay for a while. I was like, oh, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. And all of a sudden, one morning, I get a thing saying the seller has offered you a 15% discount or something. So I hit it, bought it, and then I found another one listed for about a fiver. So
Oh,
I'm like, right. So I'll buy the one that cost me a fiver, and I was luckily able to cancel the 17 quid one. So let me tell you what it is.
sorry. This started off at 100 and
Yeah, so you know what it's like with Amazon. You'll
I
find
do.
I found copies of my own book for $150. I'm like,
Yep.
I wouldn't pay that for my own book. Ugh. Creating the worlds of Star Wars, 365 days.
Oh, wow. That's a
But it's a
beautiful looking
monster.
book.
Apparently, I think it comes, so it's got all the graphics and stuff.
Mm.
I mean, there's George and his, so it's 365 pages apparently of all,
Do you know, I am I have a real thing. This is almost like I don't know if you have this. This might be an issue specific to my brain.
yeah,
I have a real goddamn issue with bad art books,
yeah,
right? I love art books like that. Give
yeah,
me full page art.
yeah.
Full page. Look at that. That's
All the
beautiful.
sets,
Yeah.
all the locations.
The odd small one is fine. I really hate it when you buy an art book and it's like 90% thumbnail pictures. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I want big full page pictures. That looks amazing.
Well, this is
Well,
all,
that's that. I can see why that cost a lot
well,
to
yeah,
begin with.
it's a big
That's a
chunky one, and it
quality.
comes with a CD-ROM that's got all the pictures on it.
Oh, great.
Um,
That's really cool.
I forget, I haven't had a look with it's authored by John Moll, so he's the ILM guy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a
but
lovely book.
so yeah, I mean, this should be good. He said it's kind of a really good reference if you still like Star Wars. This is mainly
I
um
like me some original trilogy.
original trilogy, I think, and prequels, but no sequel
Hmm.
stuff.
Right.
So that suits me fine. Let's have a quick look at the front here. Episode 4 of Filmmaking Revolution. Yeah, so you got episode 4. Oh, speeders and stuff. So
Lovely.
it looks like we've got episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, Star Wars Trilogy Special Edition, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. That'll do.
That looks
That's all I
amazing. Yeah,
need. So yeah, that's
that's a
going in
lovely
the
book.
toilet. Not if it had the sequels in it, I could put it in the
It
toilet and
would
use
be
it toilet
literally in the
paper. Yeah.
toilet.
Yes. Flush, damn you. Yeah. So anyway,
Although
that's
I
the
was never a big fan of the prequels either. I'm one of those
no.
miserable
Most of us
gits that's
weren't.
like, I love the original trilogy, and that's just about it. You know,
Yeah. I mean, Rogue One gets a pass
there are
because
there are bits of Rogue One that I love.
there are bits of Rogue One I
Absolutely.
hate. Um,
Yes. But you're right. Of all of those Disney ones, I think Rogue One would be the one I would rewatch if I had
you
to.
can tolerate it. The
Yeah,
thing
there's
about
certainly
Rogue
bits
One,
of that I really like. Yeah.
yeah, the thing about Rogue One that always sticks in my mind when I talk about it is I can't recall a single scene in Rogue One that doesn't have music playing over the top of it. Now, I'm sure there are a couple of scenes,
There probably are, but you're
but the
right.
score is
Yeah.
so overbearing,
Mm.
and I like the scores. Michael Giacchino came in. Basically, they'd hired a composer, and when they were doing the reshoots, they completely reshot most of the film.
I know. I would love to see what that movie
Yeah, they're running
was meant
around
to
on the
be.
beach with the plans and
The
all
trailer,
the trailer with
the TIE
TIE
fighter,
fighter
and
coming up. They
yeah,
still use that as a
yeah.
poster, and you're like,
Hmm.
this is not in the
Bizarre.
film anymore.
No.
Apparently, though, the Darth Vader scene wasn't in the original version either. The one right
Oh,
at the
okay.
very end that everyone goes,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh yes," you know. So it would be interesting to see if that cut ever existed. But Michael
Mm.
Giacchino came in, apparently had something like 2 or 3 weeks to rescore the entire movie. in the style of John Williams, and he knocked it out
Oh
of the
God.
park. So fair play to him.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. But I remember downloading the score and listening to the soundtrack on its own, going, "Yeah, this I can see what he's trying to do. He's got this very feels like it was John Williams." But
Mm.
now I can't get the music out of my brain. So when I'm watching Rogue One, I'm like, "Why is this music so loud?" And it might be just me thinking about it, but the next time I ever put it on, I'm going to sit there with a notepad going, right, how many scenes don't have
How
music on
many
them?
how many scenes don't
I'm
have
fairly
music?
sure it's plastered all over the film. There's no silence. It's
It's
just
not something I've noticed, but yeah, I guess if I see it again, I'll bear that in mind. That's really
mm.
interesting.
Right. I've just had it's coming up to 3:40. I'm just checking. I've got a little thing that pops up that says, are you running
About
out
10
of
minutes, I
time?
think, left
Upgrade
on
today.
this one.
Okay. I'm not going to click upgrade today. But where's oh
Or
yeah.
can't we just stop and start again if we need to?
We can. That's what people do.
Yeah. I
But
don't know
during
why they
lockdown,
do this.
during
How many
lockdown,
people have actually paid?
they removed that short, 40-minute thing. During lockdown, they let people talk as long as they liked. So unfortunately, you've got
I
to
don't
put
know
an edit
anyone that's
in
ever
now.
paid.
It's weird, isn't it? It's very weird.
Like for the sake of hanging up and calling me again. Why
Yeah,
why would I pay for that? You
yeah,
know? Like it's a minor inconvenience.
yeah. It's super easy,
It's
barely
like
an
WinRAR. It's
inconvenience.
like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, I have to press the no, I don't want to pay for WinRAR every
yeah.
time I
Then
open
I'll
it, but I
stop
don't
and I'll
have to
start
pay for
again.
it.
Really? Well, I can see it. It's on 8:56 at the moment, so we've still got time.
Hmm.
What I think we'll do once we do the restart, we'll talk about your film and my film, wherever
Sure.
we are with that,
Mm.
because there's a lot happened on my side. I don't know about your side, but
Not much, but interesting. So yeah,
well, same thing with
we'll
me. Not much,
yeah.
but a lot to talk about in
Yeah,
terms of
that's the thing, right? Because we always we oh, it's so weird, man. You and me, our paths of movies are just like these two films seem to be
like
mirroring each other. It's
going off the
amazing.
cliff to like Thelma and
Together.
Louising it.
Like, yeah, Thelma and Louise. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah. Um. But before the whole
Hmm.
the thing runs out, so when you moved house, have you moved nearer Bristol town centre or further away or
No, further away. Although to be honest, I living in the center, like the actual center of Bristol for so long. Oh God, I moved to the center of Bristol when I was like 24, 25,
right? Okay,
40 now. I feel like I did my time
okay,
and I'm very thankful. Like this year, I had friends that were like, "Oh, hey, are you coming to Pride? Are you coming to the Harbour Fest? Are you coming to?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not coming to any of it because for like decades now, I've had to because I'm there." So I'm like, this year, for the first time in
you can
forever,
avoid the city
I
shenanigans.
next year I will go because I choose to go.
Yeah,
This year I'm like,
not
"Oh, I
because it's
don't
on your
have to."
doorstep. Yeah,
Yeah, like I don't have to. So I feel like I'm taking this year off from doing anything in the center. No marathons, half marathons, and all of
yeah,
that stuff. Bike rides that used to shut down the city center. I'm like, I don't have to worry about any of it. And then
yeah,
next year I'll go because I choose to go. But yeah, I think it was great in my youth. I was right next to the pubs and the clubs.
yeah.
And now I'm just quite happy to, disappear
I
out.
think
It's
I'm the same
still in Bristol, but
because I lived in
you know.
Cardiff on and off for a few years, and when it's on your doorstep, you think, well, it's the weekend. I've got to go to a pub. I've got to go to a
Yeah.
club. But now I'm back up the sticks. It's like I don't miss it. So
No, I don't.
I'm not forcing myself to go out because there's nothing. I'd rather stay at
Yeah.
home and be an old, watch DVDs and drink at home, have people round rather than kind of
Yeah.
go out and spend a
100%.
fortune.
So
All
yeah,
right.
I'm a little further out, but quite happy to
Oh,
be
fair
so.
enough.
So.
So it's still like the outskirts of Bristol. You're not in like
Oh
darkest
no,
Somerset.
still very much in Bristol, just not in the center. South
Fair enough.
Bristol now.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. All right. Well, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna do stop. We only got 6 minutes left, and we could talk for 6 minutes, but I'm just gonna just stop it and do a
It
restart.
feels like I don't, when you don't want to commit to a conversation in case it
Yeah,
goes
yeah, it's that.
on.
I'm doing that. I'm like, well, if we start a topic, we'll get through 6 minutes like this.
I
But
did um I did community radio for a decade,
mm,
and you had to do ad reads, and you would always you had a window in which you could do it.
Okay.
And you'd always leave it to the last bloody second that you could possibly do it. But you
Yeah.
see that timer counting down and you're like, what am I gonna? I got like 2 minutes. The hell am I gonna say for 2 minutes? Because I don't
Yeah,
want to
I've got.
start anything that's gonna go beyond 2 minutes. But
I
yeah.
know. Yeah, that is a real pain, and with Zoom you have to. So
Hmm.
let's do a stop, and then we'll do a
Cool.
restart. I'll send you the link, and then we'll get
Okie doke.
straight into talking about films. All right.
Sure. Sounds good.
So, and we're back. Okay, so let's talk films while we can.
Sure.
Thank you for Zoom for forcing us to start and stop. Anyway, viewers of my channel will probably be aware of what happened and didn't happen with bloody students and Offworld and everything else. But obviously, seeing as we haven't talked since January 2023, people may not be aware of what's been happening with your film, The 12th Day. So I'm going to turn the you have the con number one, whatever, and tell us what happened or
Well,
didn't happen as such.
yeah. I mean, before we stopped uh recording there, because like you said, Zoom decided to give us a 9 minute timeout before we're allowed back in to
Yeah.
record without paying. I think our films have had a similar trajectory.
Mm.
So where were we? All was all was pretty good there for a while.
It was, yeah.
It was good. We've got a lot of footage. I've still got a lot of footage. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it.
Yeah.
So this situation was the we were rushing to get Saffron's scenes filmed. Saffron obviously was going to university, so we wanted to get all of her scenes done so that she could leave and not have to worry about coming back to do all of that. We successfully did that, and she went off to uni and is doing very
Right.
well there from everything I've seen. So then it was down to filming the other scenes. We started filming the other scenes, and then I was really struggling to get other cast members to this, like herding cats, trying to get people to come together. And then obviously it was Christmas, so I was like, okay, well, we'll give it Christmas. Everyone's busy over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
I then put my cat down. Unfortunately, he
Oh
was very,
no.
very old. So I was dealing with that and kind of grieving. Then I have to be careful about. Well, I will only say that effectively something happened to a member of the cast, not anything related to the film.
Okay.
However, the result of that, I was concerned that some of the themes in the movie might be triggering for someone to have to act through those kind of things.
I had a similar, and I can talk about this on my side, basically with
Sure.
in Offworld,
Mm.
I stepped in to play the pilot character because
Yes.
uh, Kit Summerfield, who was originally going to play that character, he said the original version of the script was the pilot character goes off, in like a Shackleton, and basically goes off like, the South Pole thing and says, I may be sometime, and basically kills himself to give everyone else more of a chance because they're running out of
Right.
food. And Kit
Yep.
said to me, is there any way we could change that? Because, it's a subject close to home. I know people who have, gone through that or done that or attempted that. And I'm like, yeah,
Sure.
I'm one of them, mate.
Hmm.
He said, is
Yep.
it a bit too much? Can we change that? And I said, yeah, we'll change it. And last week I learned that Kit passed away.
Oh, I'm really
He,
sorry to hear
he,
that.
he was,
That's
he had cancer for a long time, and I kept in
oh wow.
regular contact with him, but um, these things rarely work out, with a happy ending, and he'll be missed. It's a shame we didn't get to
Yeah,
speak before he went, but yeah, it's a shame. And when a film takes 7, 8 years to get sorted, and to date, three people who have worked on Offworld are now no longer with us.
that's terrible.
It's
Yeah.
it's a big wake up
Yeah.
call. But yeah, so
Mm.
exactly, I know what you mean. There's things that tend to happen in scripts that impact a little bit too much on real life. So
Yeah.
continue. Yeah,
Well, yeah. So I felt that some of it might be a bit triggering, and so I obviously they needed time anyway.
Yeah,
So, you know, whatever. And we have subsequently, talked about it, and they've said, well, maybe, see how I feel in a bit. Let's give it some time. And I'm like, cool. Like at the end of the day, this is a stupid zero budget movie. It's meant to be fun to do and to make, and it's fun to put out there. But at the end of the day, it's not worth someone's mental health
sure.
or do you know what I mean? Like it's
100%. Yeah, yeah,
it's meant to be a fun thing that I do primarily with friends that
yeah,
I mean, or even if they're not friends, they are by the end of filming.
yeah, yeah.
So, so it's meant to be fun and not triggering or awful. So had to give it some time with that. Then, so, uh, then I had to move house, very short notice. So I have
Right.
moved house, set up here now. The problem now is that I have scenes with Saffron, and I need to film the other half of that scene, and it is now in a completely different building.
I was gonna say, yeah,
So currently, I'm in a weird situation. So I'm in a situation where certainly for Saffron and Jake are very keen for this to happen.
yeah,
So I believe, much like your situation, where you're like, well, I'm going to make something out of this. I have all of this footage, and I need to decide. I'm kind of in that, like, what do I do?
yeah.
Do I just release the footage? Because there are some great, I think, some really cool scenes that we filmed.
Mm.
I'm like, I could just release the scenes, or do I do something else with it? Do I try and fix it, rejig
Yeah,
it so that I
reincorporate
can,
what you've done into something.
or most of it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Or do I write a different story? Because I did think, well, I could potentially do a horror anthology, and then this would be what I have could be part of that
Okay.
anthology, could be one of the stories. So I have these ideas. I'm kind of trying to decide what to do. Periodically, Jake, who you remember Jake from
Yeah,
Cold Shot,
yeah.
he pokes me because his lifelong ambition, and I will stress before I continue, Jake is one of the nicest people you will ever meet in your life. But his lifelong ambition apparently has been to be a horror slasher character, like
Right.
monster.
Yeah, yeah,
That's his thing, right? He really wants to
yeah,
do it, and he's finally got to do it. And now the movie's kind of halted, and we're like,
yeah.
yeah, we'll do it at some point. So yeah, I need to come back to it. And yeah, so I'm kind of in that process now. I've moved house, and I'm kind of settled here now. I did like after yeah, it's weird after losing my cat. I really just yeah, a period of grieving and just not feeling in the slightest bit creative in any way. But it's coming back,
Mm.
that creative need is coming back, and
Yeah.
yeah, I just need to, you get do you get the anxiety? I'm sure you do because we're very similar in this way, I think. I have this thing now where I'm like, I really want to look at the footage, see what we've got, and see what we can make of it.
Mm.
But then I get really anxious about looking at really good scenes that I just can't use because like half of the scene was shot somewhere else. And then it stresses me out and I just won't look at any of it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but I know there's some really good stuff in there that I'm sure we can use and I'm sure we can make this work. I'm sure we can get something together. But
Okay.
it's just like, oh, I need to break the seal on that SD card or on that
Yeah.
hard drive and just crack on with it and see what we can do. Yeah, so much like you, I don't think the 12th day is going to be what it was. Or maybe it will. I don't know. I think more likely it will go the direction you're going, where it becomes something else, using the footage we've already got, obviously.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, in my case, a couple of people have asked me, well, the stuff you filmed last year, could you put that into what I'm now calling Mummified, which is the short film?
mm,
And to be honest, I don't think you can.
mm.
Um, we shot a load of stuff, like 6 or 7 scenes, and people have seen this outdoors in the night, and they were great scenes. But our lead actress has dropped out.
Oh
Um,
no.
she was expecting, so she's like,
Okay.
I can't really commit to
I,
another
I,
year's worth of filming. And I was like,
again,
these things happen, yeah. And do
yeah.
you know what? It is life imitating art because in the script, her character is pregnant as well. She discovers she is. So it's
Oh,
like,
wow,
wow,
she was just that method.
yeah. Just like, go away and get yourself knocked up just so you can feel what it's like.
Mm,
No. So there is that. And we didn't get round to casting. I auditioned a few people. We didn't get round to casting anyone in the lead
yeah.
role again, but that still means those scenes we've done have got to be chucked basically at great
Yeah.
cost. So, but then we shot the action
Yeah.
scene with Paul Putner, which was great and turned out fine. Um, but that doesn't fit into this condensed mummified script that I've written.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing I could possibly use if I use it as a kind of post-credit sequence is the very first thing I shot was Nicola Cunningham, the girl from Shaun of the Dead,
I do remember
sitting on
you
a
going
park
down to
bench
film that
with a
day. Yeah.
newspaper, and she sort of watches someone go past. Who you don't see anyone go past in the footage. You just see her doing this, and the newspaper goes down. She goes, "Bloody students!" So if I use that as like a post-credit sequence and have somebody walking past her, probably composited, then we could still get her in there going, "Bloody students," as a nice little stinger at the end.
Nod. Yeah.
That's
That
about
sounds
it,
that's
unfortunately.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, especially when people have because again, obviously we sink a lot of time in you sunk money as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I pretty much was doing everything. As you know, I work very cheap.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, I guess again, you spend money even if you're not intending to spend much money. You still spend some money
Yeah,
on
we
any
do.
production. But people give up their time and they, it's like, oh God, a lot of those shots and those performances are really, really good. I don't want them to go. I'm not going to do nothing with them.
I know, I know.
It's really hard. From your perspective, from my perspective, I think I'm pretty confident I can salvage this and do something with
Mm.
it. From your perspective, obviously you're filming something else now. It's
Yeah.
adjacent, should we
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
It's related, but it's adjacent.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think you'll do? Do you think you'll just get rid of the scenes you filmed, or do you think you would put them online at some point? Do you think you'd make them,
Well, I think
or maybe an extra if you do a deep Blu-ray release, or you know?
yeah, I guess it might be that because I'm gutted that I can't use the stuff that has, we spent a lot of time and money trying to get hold of Paul Putner, Nicola Cunningham, and
Mm,
all this stuff, and it
yeah,
didn't pay off. We had Sophie Aldred lined up as well to do some scenes.
I remember.
But it's like we can't really use them, but they're good. So they will be, viewable online at some point. I think
Yeah.
with what we're doing with the Mummified, it's the two main female characters. Sorry, not I wouldn't say the main female characters, because our main actress left, so that's the character called Trish, and so she's not in
Hmm.
Mummified. But the
Right.
two other, if you don't count the lead, then the two other female characters, Benny and Kells, um, I've decided to use them, and as you probably know, the girl playing Benny is from Bristol, Hannah Clift. Um, she's playing Benny, and Harrod Ford is playing Kells, and they're the same characters, but I've tweaked their personalities and some of the events a little bit, so it's more like a what if. But
Hmm.
basically, I decided to put those two characters who hate each other's guts in the same room, working out how can we A, fight the mummies, B, survive, C, get out of here. So yeah, and the thing is, like you say, what's that first day of filming that we did a couple of weeks ago cost nearly £1,000.
Mm.
Bless them at Gloucester Prison, they let me film there for free. That's
That's
the reason we
amazing.
shot there.
I was going to ask. I was curious what that was going to cost you.
Yeah, well,
It's
I've
really
I've
great.
been working with those guys on the graphic side, designing stuff for them. They've kept me in, plenty of regular sort of design jobs and stuff. And they said, look, if you want to film here, I'm sure we can. And the thing is, I haven't used it as a prison. I haven't used any prison cells or any of the main kind of, prison looking places. We just found a room, which is more an admin room, and said, this will do.
Mm.
Um, but I've been trying to make sure that no one's out of pocket.
Yeah.
If they, because some of the, the actresses, for example, they're
People
doing their
travel,
own stuff
people,
and features and
yeah.
short films, and Hannah's doing a one woman comedy show and tours with
Oh,
a band
wow.
and all sorts of stuff. So I'm making sure they're being paid for their time and stuff. And I did that with Bloody Students last year. And when you've got to throw, the scenes in the bin, you're like, ah, that's money. But then even then, it's like weirdly, and it's going to sound mean, but if I hadn't paid anybody last year and the scenes sort of go in the bin, you kind of go, oh, well, it hasn't cost me anything. But it has cost people time and,
Yeah.
effort and work and all this kind of stuff. But it's even worse when you've paid for it. You go, right, not only am I got to bin the scenes, but that's a load of money
Yeah.
that's gone nowhere.
Hmm.
Um, but still.
I think
Um,
it's the nature of the work, though, unfortunately,
it is,
especially at this level, you know.
and it's hard to film um, in a non-specific way that you could use the footage everywhere. Like I said, the
Yeah,
only thing with that Nicola Cunningham stuff is nobody walks in front of her. She's just sitting on a park bench. So that might work quite nicely as
that
a
could easily work
stinger.
somehow. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But due to the ending of Mummified, which I'm not going to spoil, that might not even be possible. So we'll have to see. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, uh, so I mean, you said you don't want to revisit the footage just yet. It's kind
Well,
of
I
like,
do. No, I do. It's that anxiety, isn't
could you
it?
do it with a script though? Could you just look at the pages that you filmed and go, right, well, that could be work
Yeah,
rather than having to watch what you shot?
yeah, yeah. I probably could actually. To be fair, I mean, I have all of that. You know, you have the Excel spreadsheet with highlighted things of which scenes are completely done, which scenes are part done, which scenes are, you know, who am I needing for the next lot of shots. So
Yeah.
I've got all of that. So yeah, I could probably work it out from there. I just need to think around what I want to do. Do I want to try and make the 12th day still, which would require Saffron to come back and do stuff, and
Yeah.
see who's still up for continuing. I think most people are up for continuing anyway, but there's that. Or do I go down this more anthology route and kind of see what comes of that? So yeah, it's just like I said, it's just breaking the seal. It's opening that film folder that I've got. And don't worry, I have got it backed up elsewhere. I heard about your nightmare this week,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, that's always the fear. No matter how many backups you've got as well, that's always the fear.
Which one's going to go down? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so I just need to just do it, just do it,
Well,
just start
here's
again.
something.
As soon as I start, once I start, I get on
You,
the roll and I'm
yeah,
back
absolutely.
in.
And
I
and
just need to be
I was
shoved back in.
yeah, when I cancelled the Kickstarter for Bloody Students, on the
Mm,
last day or two, it was a case of I know people had said to me, if you're very close to the target, which we were, um, I'll put some money in and make sure you get that target. But it wasn't just a matter of, oh, right, we'll have the money. It was other stuff that was going on. We had
yeah.
problems with the bank account, limited company, and obviously cast dropping out and not being available and stuff. And I'm like, this is becoming all these sort of red flags started popping up. And I had to make this sort of executive decisions like, do you take that Kickstarter money, give 10% of it to Kickstarter or whatever, and you're left with this. Then I've got to sit here in my already crowded room. That's all mummy costumes in the bags, by the way. Um, and
I thought you'd like early Christmas. You just got
oh
Christmas
heck no.
sorted.
No, I haven't started. I usually start early. I usually start in October. But that's all
Mm.
the mummy costumes from Mummified. I've got to turn them
Ah,
into three Guy Fawkes style dummies because on the second day of shooting, the mummies are dead on the floor. So we just need placeholders,
of course. Yeah, yeah.
mummy dummies. So it was a case of, well, even if I had that money, the target was 5,000. You've got to give 10% of it to Kickstarter and fees and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And then you've got to spend probably £900 of that on rewards, the t-shirts, the hats and the badges and
Yep.
all these sorts of stuff, which I'd be doing on my own at that table when I'd rather be filming. And it's like postage costs a lot of money as well. I think I'll have, I don't know how, maybe I'll have like two and a half, £3,000 left over. And then with
Mm.
all the other stuff that's going on, I still may fall at the first fence. So I'm thinking, I need a bigger team. I need more hands on deck, basically. And I thought rather than promising to deliver the footage and stuff that I might not, I'd rather not overpromise and underdeliver. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So I said, look, let's stop that and regroup. And I was pretty despondent at that point. I was like, well, it looks like it ain't happening. And the reason I decided to go for a short film, which is something I've always traditionally been against, I was like, oh, I don't want to do short films. Life's too short. Make a movie while you've got everyone together. Make a film. Um, it was kind of like I felt I'd let, especially the two actresses, I felt I'd let all my cast and crew down, including Paul Putner and Nicola and everyone. I was thinking, no, I don't want it to just fizzle into a complete failure. So I thought, at least I can
Yeah.
get to the end of the year and saying I've done this short film, so the year wasn't a complete waste. And my house full of Egyptian artifacts that I've been buying over the last 2 years. So I wanted to give something back to Hannah and Angharad, give them a chance to act their socks off basically and have a short film. And
Yeah.
then I thought, well, once you've got a short film, you may as well start entering the festivals because they like 15-minute shorts, don't they?
That's what they
Um,
like.
but what I was going to say, when you mentioned anthologies there, a mate of mine has been talking about he lives up north, he lives in Middlesbrough, and he's like, I'm thinking of doing a short film in
Mm,
the sort of slightly sci-fi, slightly horror genre as well. And I said, well, I'm doing a
mm.
short film as well. So it's like there could be a little scope of the three of us all finishing off our shorts, next year, and we'll have three. So like,
Well,
does an anthology work with just three films? I think it kind of would.
yes. Yeah.
There's no. It's not like a.
You just need someone in a Crypt Keeper outfit
Well,
to
this is
introduce
it.
us.
You need
It'd
a
be fine.
framing device, and that's it. And because like with novels, apparently you can't call your book a novel unless it's 40,000 words or more.
Well, I remember seeing this about films.
Yeah.
Wasn't it
So
90 minutes is
well,
like
this is
the
the problem we had with our distribute with Offworld. They wouldn't initially they wouldn't accept our 75-minute edit, but then over the lockdown and all this sort of stuff, new staff came in and they changed the contract saying, "Oh, we're willing to accept 75 minutes now." But by then we'd already padded the film out to 90, which
yeah.
I think is to its detriment. I think it'd work better as a shorter film, but it's too late to do a third edit.
You should have kept it short and then made the credits really slow.
Yeah, well, we were looking at with all the Kickstarter names, 250. It's
20
like
minutes of
slow the credits a
credits.
bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, we did a Garth Marenghi on it. We were like, any
Oh,
scene that we thought could be used for slow motion was considered. But no, I mean,
the, that's
can you
still
do
the
can you do an
funniest
anthology?
show ever made.
It's fantastic. It
It's
really is.
amazing.
And if you see the strings, you're a pedant. Um, but no, it's like I get it's the thing that gave us Matt Berry. So um,
Yeah, it gave us,
can you
yeah, I
do
mean, a
an
lot of,
anthology with three films?
I think so.
I think you can.
Yeah.
Because mine is on the comedy horror. Yours would be on the horror,
Yeah, this
and
one is.
the guy
Yeah.
from Middlesbrough, his is on the sci-fi horror. So
Yeah,
there's
that could be
three flavors
interesting.
there.
Yeah.
So
Well, a short is entirely possible my end. I also think from that perspective, it's like, well, so the scenes I've got at the moment, I'm really happy with, or at least the complete scenes that
hmm,
I know I can use,
yeah,
I'm extremely happy with. And it does make me think, like, well, I could potentially try and bash this together into a film.
yeah,
I feel like it won't necessarily work because a lot of things would have to be rejigged now to make it work.
yeah,
Um, or I could potentially make a short. And there, do you know there is something attractive to making 15 minutes of real quality
yeah.
as
'Cause
opposed to like, oh, we made an hour and a half, but some of it's not happy with
yeah,
that shot,
exactly.
not
Because the
happy with that.
focus is
Like, I'm
is
like, no, I'm just gonna perfect these
quality
15
over
minutes.
quantity,
This is gonna be
and
great. Yeah.
it's yeah, it's like I said with Offworld, if we could have stuck to our original 75, 80 minutes,
Mm,
I think it would be better than the people who have seen Offworld to this day have
yeah.
gone, it's all right, but it drags a bit. And I'm like, I
I
know
liked Offworld.
exactly.
I enjoyed it.
But it did drag a bit. And
Yeah.
I think we could trim it down one day, if I felt motivated enough, which I don't, to do a director's cut, then
Oh, I think about that all the time. I'm like, I could go back and redo a net and
and trim the fat off
fix
all of these things.
bits,
But you
and
think I'll just
because
move forward. Just
now I
move
use
forward.
Premiere Pro instead of Vegas, and oh my God, if I had Premiere Pro when I made a net, the things I would have done differently, and the things I could do
Yeah.
now, and how much better it would look. But it's like,
I know,
well,
right?
I kind of, a net. I like a net being the way it is. It's kind of
Yeah.
it being cheesy and crappy is kind of the point anyway. So like,
Yeah.
you get these ideas and you're like, yeah, but that wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, it maybe being too slick is not It's not for.
No, certainly not for that movie. The whole point of that movie, it was like a puppet monster attacking a city. That was the point
Yeah,
of it, you know.
exactly, exactly. People have fun with it. Do it if
I
it's
could just like
purposely.
special edition 97 special edition it and just have like a CGI monster.
Yeah, do it, George Lucas, and put blatantly obvious CGI people, extras walking down the
Yeah.
street in the background or drinking in the pub, but they're really badly low polygon people or something. Just like,
Yeah. Yeah, 97 CGI.
yeah, stuff that dates instantly. Yeah.
Mm.
So much like my film,
Mm.
we're trying to sort of drag a phoenix out of the flames with both of these,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I think
uh,
there's something in both projects though. We'll get something out there for sure.
yeah, and I think it's the frustrated creative within us that basically saying, like, if I just gave it all up, I could walk away for a while, but I'd still be going, that was a waste of time and money and effort and energy. So I thought, well,
Do you
I'll
know it's
cobble
interesting?
together. Sorry?
I was going to say it's interesting you say that. When my cat died and I moved house and it was all very sudden, like my cat died, then we had to move house, which in 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 hindsight is good because the whole time I lived there, that was when I had him, right? So
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
was kind of like a clean start. But that kind of yeah, that kind of grieving and depression kicked in and I just wasn't creative at all. And then I got better. I've gotten better, with that. But that creativity, I'm like, I just wasn't feeling creative at all. And
no, there's something about real world disappointment which
oh,
kills your creativity.
it really does. And I just felt no wish to do it. But you know what? Over time, I still didn't feel like I wanted to do it, but I felt like something was missing from my life.
Yeah.
Outside of my cat, which is now
Well, you
obviously
do
missing
because
from my life.
because if you're
Something else.
being creative, if you're being a creative person, and then you have to stop that, your brain's gonna remind you that, hey, what about this thing you were doing?
Yeah.
What about your satisfying your
Well, that's it,
creative
right? And
impulses?
now that I don't have a terminally ill cat, I have a lot more time.
Mm,
And do you know, I was like, I just need to get back on the wagon, the
yeah,
creative wagon. So
yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, I made a video. There's a review of War of the Worlds. I don't know if you
Okay.
saw it. The 50s War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Um, just and it is just literally talking about the movie with like a slideshowy thing.
Okay.
But it was enough. It
Yeah.
was enough to where I was like, oh God, I feel so much better after
Yeah.
just doing scripting
Yeah.
and just audio, no video, just talking over
Yeah.
and kind of a little bit of video editing in terms of just the style of it and making it look like a, slideshow projector kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like a talk. But even that was enough to be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm missing.
Yeah.
You kind of think you think you're like, "Ah, I don't know, man, it's so much hassle. I just don't need this anymore." But when you don't
Yeah.
do it, you do like,
I've
oh
been there,
gosh.
and that's what we're doing with the Blake Seven thing. Obviously, I don't want to get into
Mm,
the weeds
that's
of
a really
getting
cool idea.
copyright strikes and using clips, so we're going to do screenshots and talk over it.
Yeah,
So
that's a great idea. I
yeah,
can't wait to see it.
and
I,
it's one of those things. It's like I say at the end of the Bloody Students Kickstarter, I was like, I'm not cut out for making movies anymore. But
oh,
then
that's
there's
exactly
there's
how I
still
felt
this
at the start
empty
of this
bit in
year.
your mind that was occupied with all this creating that you were doing I was doing over the last 2 years, and I'm like,
Mm,
I should do something with what I've got. It's like I try I never I may give up on things, but I never completely shelve them. I always
no, me
I've
either. It's
got
still up there. It's
I've
still.
got a folder on my computer with 50 or 60 different film, book, TV, whatever advert ideas that I've done
Mhm.
over the years. Some have got certain way down the road and stopped, and some haven't. Some were just a two-line synopsis. What about if we do a film about this? Um, so I thought, well, at least with Bloody Students, I can satisfy the creative urge to do
Yes.
something, and then with hopefully with the second day's filming, we can get all the dialogue done, get into the edit, and we'll have a satisfying chunk of a film rather than
Yes.
a big empty void of what
And
if,
I and I, again, it's so interesting, and we are on just exactly the same trajectory with these
Yeah.
projects where I'm like, I'm in the same situation, which is why I thought it was really interesting because I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, oh, I really should catch up with Terry because I was kind of seeing your Terry on Tuesdays and I was like, wow, we're in such a similar situation right now. We really should do another catch up. It'd be really interesting. And then you messaged me and I was like, oh, I was just thinking about
Yeah.
us catching up because again, I think my project's in the same situation that yours is. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
if that's the situation for us, there is probably um countless other people, like even watching this now, going, I'm in the same boat with my projects as well. Because I've
Yeah.
seen lots of other people's projects get made,
Yeah.
and you know, some people have said to me, "Oh, are you feeling a bit resentful for other people who can get their stuff made?" And I'm like, "No, not at
Hell
all.
no.
A
It's
rising
great.
tide lifts all ships."
Of
You
course it
know,
does. It's fantastic if people can get their projects made. I think that's wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna, you know, try and, pour scorn on someone else's
No,
project just because I didn't get mine made. It's like I want to see these short films. I want to see everyone. I want to see like the
absolutely.
more of the scene getting bigger and better. And there are films that
Hmm.
have gone out there. I mean, my mate Lloyd, who's a scratch DJ, but he's also composing films scores now. He was going
Mm,
to score Bloody Students. That was going to be his first feature, but
right.
because I didn't carry on with it, he moved on to a feature called Scopophobia, which is now finished and it's out there doing the rounds and doing all the festivals. It's getting great reviews.
Oh, that's amazing.
Um, and that's his first feature, and he's going to do little bits for me for Mummified anyway.
Mm,
So it's like great. I want to see that. Awesome.
yeah.
I'm not going to wish anyone like ill will just because I couldn't get my crap together.
No,
You know what I mean?
that's ridiculous. It's great to see people. I don't know. It's a weird thing that some people, a lot of people actually, I think have that. It's a really unhealthy trait to have
Yeah,
to
I
to
think.
kind of hate other people's successes. I love when people I know
Yeah.
are successful and accomplish what they want to accomplish. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, because it
Doesn't
doesn't
say anything
hurt
about
me
me. It's
either
just
way.
it's good for you.
It doesn't hurt your own cause if
No.
someone else's success. But I think, like you said, that it does exist out there. I think there is some rivalries out there, and I think people in our position of the sort of the amateur filmmakers or whatever,
Yeah.
some people probably like to think of themselves as like Hollywood or whatever, and they're like, oh, I want to be supreme in my cause, and no one else can touch me. And you're like, dude, we're all in the same boat. We're all in this together, kind of thing. We may
Yeah.
not be together, but we're all doing the same kind of thing. So,
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I
when
wouldn't
Kevin
want
Smith
the
was making Clerks, he wasn't looking up at Spielberg going, if it wasn't for Spielberg, I'd be, you know, getting Oscars.
yeah.
You're like, well,
Yeah.
no, he's in a different league. And there's other
Hmm.
short films, it was, I think Kevin Smith has always said Richard Linklater did Slacker, and
Yeah.
that's what inspired him to do Clerks. And other people have been inspired by Kevin Smith, including myself.
A lot
And
of people have been inspired by Kevin Smith. Yeah.
but I've been inspired by other people I know to make films, and stuff. And
Yeah.
again, it's like the support I've had just knowing that you're out in Bristol doing your short film, and you've
Mm.
done a net and cool shot, and I'm like, well, we're all. And it's not like I say, that is just us two that I know about, but there are other people out there all around the country doing the same kind of thing. And
Yeah, and
why not?
and the thing I've always loved with this kind of stuff is like you're not, like I'm not just making a film or a short film or whatever I'm making. You know, all of the actors are doing a film as well, and
Yeah,
the people making the score, they're doing the music for a film, and like everyone's being creative. It's
yeah,
really awesome. That's the thing that excites me. It's like let's all just get creative.
yeah. And I
Um,
guarantee there are a number of films that are currently being made and all have already been made that were inspired by the buzz that Offworld created, because the people
yeah.
who were in Offworld have moved on to do their films and stuff.
Hmm.
And there are people that are like, well, I I didn't consider making films until I worked on Offworld. So it's like it's
Yeah.
helped, inspire other stuff. I'm not saying Offworld is genius or brilliant enough, to inspire in that way, but more a case of it's given people the taste of filmmaking.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
why not? Anyway, we're going to round this up now. We're coming up to the sort of the 5 minute mark. It's like, what do we talk about the last 5 minutes? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think we say this we said this in previous videos. We should do this regularly.
Oh,
And
I think I like the like maybe 6 monthly catch up,
yeah,
or something like that, or
that'll be
quarterly. I
plenty
don't know.
because you got to
Yeah,
have time. You can't do it monthly because there's nothing to talk about. But yeah, I think maybe we should touch base in 6 months and see where things are moving
let's
along.
let's do that, and then eventually let's end up with I don't know, like a
With a film
original
each,
cut of June, like an 8 hour anthology movie of
supercut.
everyone's failed film projects, all
But do you know
all
it
around
may
the country, just put into one massive long film.
well, exactly. Some people may just, hey, look, if you're watching this and you've got a short film on the go, or you've
Yeah.
just thought about writing it, or maybe you finished it, or whatever, like get in contact. You never know. We might end up with this sort of 10 film anthology. Who knows?
Yeah,
Like
or if you look like the Crypt Keeper or Elvira,
either is
just
good,
either is great.
whatever floats your
Just give us
boat.
a shout and we'll yeah.
But
No, I
yeah,
like
and
the idea of an anthology. We could make that work.
yeah, and
Um,
also like I say, in the last year, I didn't know about my friend from Middlesbrough who's writing a
mm,
sci-fi horror. So
sounds great.
potential. Maybe a year from now, we'll all be there going, right, well, let's do a joint video where we're all going off to some film festival with our films to see what they do. That might be
Yeah,
interesting.
that'd be fun. Yeah.
So
But yeah,
yeah,
I'm
anyway.
always up for a catch up. It's good. It's cathartic. It's good
Oh
to
yeah, exactly. And that's why I contact you. I was like, yeah, it's nice to kind of where you can kind of put everything out on Front Street and go, right, so this is where I'm at with this. Where are you
Mhm.
with yours? And it's surprisingly similar, like you said. So
Yeah.
uh and it makes me want to go away and go, right, focus, do stuff.
Yes. Same here. I'm now during this conversation. I've been like, right, you're not doing anything on Sunday.
Yeah, think of
Get
some
up on
possibilities.
Sunday and start looking at that script. Start looking at what you've got, and let's get this back on the road because it needs to happen for sure. So
Yeah,
but yeah, it's been
totally.
very cathartic, kind of seeing your. It sounds awful, but I guess from your struggles, I've been like, oh, I'm in the same position. It makes me feel a bit more like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
We
and
can make this work.
it was like, I found when Offworld was having all these problems in post and everything
Mm.
else, when I found the Jaws documentary and I realized how badly everything was going,
Oh my God,
that
that
inspired me
movie.
going, oh, it happens with big movies too.
Oh yeah.
And,
I think more
like you
often
say,
than you
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And what we're doing with our own stuff is like it goes on, it continues.
it does.
So we can if we can't run, we can at least crawl towards the finish line and
Yeah.
see where we go, see where we are in, 6 months to a year's time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna wind this up. So thanks for
Great.
joining me again, and we will
No problem.
do
Anytime.
this before we won't let another year go by. We'll do it in about 6 months.
Sure.
And
Yeah. Sounds
and
good.
in the meantime, if you need anything from me, obviously hit me up and I'll
And vice versa.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
we can put our heads together and work out solutions to some of these problems that
Yeah.
we
And
all
and
share.
we've got a 6 month goal now. We're going to catch up
Yeah,
in 6 months and we will have made some progress.
we certainly will.
We
We
will have
certainly
done
will.
some stuff.
I've
So
got
yeah.
one more day of shooting to do, and then I've got the bare
When
bones
is
of an
that, by the
entire
way?
movie. 10th of October.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be in Gloucester, so that'll be good fun.
And then you'll get your shelves back.
I'll get my shelving back. Everything is on the floor. It's a mess. Anyway,
Oh, the wonders of low budget filmmaking, huh?
I know, right? All my tools and everything I need to work on stuff is locked up in a room in Gloucester prison. I'm like, I need my I haven't got my pliers.
Oh,
Oh,
that's yeah, especially when you're trying to do cosplay. That seems
yeah.
like a
I was
problem.
looking for pliers to bend something the other day. I was like, oh, it's all up there. It's on shelves.
They're in prison.
And my house feels empty without a giant 6 foot sarcophagus in the corner over there. And it's like, I
Yeah, it's
like
become part of
that.
the furniture now, right?
It really is. Right, we've got seconds to go. So I will say
Cool.
goodbye and I will
We'll
put your
catch
links in
you.
the description
Yeah, thank you.
and we'll be back in 6 months' time to talk more stuff. Alrighty?
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.